Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first game of the playoffs of the LELC. Joining us at this very special occasion, setting this off on the right note, is Mr. Diamond. Diamond, how are we doing today?
Very fine, thank you. Thank you for receiving me.
Excellent. And joining me, my name is Sandbag. I will be your play-by-play for the day. And joining me is my fellow caster, Dan. Dan, go ahead and introduce yourself. How we feeling?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Glad to be here with Sandcasting for you guys today. Now, we do have a special surprise before we get into today's games. Like you said earlier, we have Diamond Killer here, the main player of Tlpp for us today. How you feeling, Diamond?
Yeah, fine. I think we are confident so we can win. So yeah, we are fine.
Okay, so clearly, if we take a look at the standings, AHK is currently 12-0.
Yeah.
So they are unbeatable. Do you guys take that into account heading into today's games, and how have you prepared for today?
Yeah, it was our first off that they were 12-0. So yeah, we thought we could not win, but when we saw their match results, they didn't stomp their games, and I think I didn't watch the replay, but I think they have some difficulties to end the games because with such a strong bot lane, they don't stomp the game, and I think we can maybe have something to do with our team to win this series.
Okay, sounds like you've definitely come prepared. Is that bot lane something you're gonna be leaning heavily into today?
I will say nothing about it.
Don't want to be leaking any preparation, fair enough.
Yeah, no spoilers for us
Yeah,
today.
just 15 minutes and you will see.
Hey, but that's understandable, and clearly with you guys preparing as much as you have come into today's games, don't want to give anything away, don't want to give any surprises away either. But it does sound like you've come prepared.
Yeah, a bit. Not so much, but yeah, we prepared a bit, like a usual match.
Do you expect to have a shot at winning today?
Sorry?
Do you expect to have a shot at getting the win today, even though they are 12-0?
Yeah, why not?
Hell yeah, I like the confidence, man. That's good. I think it's all about mentality, man. As long as you believe you can win, you can always look to upset.
We are maybe 5-on-5 on our groups, but we did manage to win some important games against BMR and UAFL. And I think we could have done much better on our groups, and we know what we did to improve to win this series, and we'll do our best to do it.
And it does sound like you guys did take a look at your games and did find things to improve, at least in the couple post games interviews we did do in the regular season. I do believe Sand had a couple of questions for you as well.
Yeah, of course.
Just the one question mainly is that, do you think that do you have a specific period of the game that you consider yourself to be very strong in? You mentioned they might have troubles closing it out. So are we going to look at you as more of a late game team fighting team, or are you guys going to look for more what's your comfort style and what are you expecting out of these games, just for the viewers at home?
If we watch our replays from the regular season, we did have a very bad early game. So I think we were more confident in mid and late game, with a good macro and a good communication for team fights. So yeah, I will say mid and late game, but maybe today we will have a very strong early game, and I hope so.
Brilliant. Come out of the gate swinging and be able to close it out at the end. Thank you very, very much for your time, and we're likely going to get the other captain on in here in just a moment.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, sir, definitely. Won't be the only one who we talk to today as well. We do have the captain of AHK joining us momentarily. But still, it should be very good games for today. And do keep in mind, all the playoff games will be best of threes as well, which does give the teams a little bit more of a chance to get to know each other during a series instead of being a best of one, which I as a caster look forward to, because I do feel like it creates more of a story, and I feel like there is more of a background, and it feels more accomplishing when you win a best of three.
Absolutely.
Especially if Tlpp do manage to win, 12-0.
Yeah, the upside is definitely on the cards here, and the biggest thing between a best of one and a series is that adaptation, is trying to find those weaknesses, find those mistakes, clean them up, and don't make those the second time around. So that'll be interesting to see if either one of these teams really shows the proficiency in adapting and adjusting on the fly.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that the teams will definitely have to look into. I think definitely just getting the feel for your opponent, getting the feel of what they're gonna be doing. And I think just figuring out what they're gonna do. Obviously, I assume that both teams have done their scouting, so banning phase should be interesting as well. We obviously did have a new patch drop a week ago as well, which did shake the meta up a little bit. Not much, but Xayah is still Xayah. Might be the best AD carry in the game. And we might even see either of the teams pull it out today. But we will be going to a break for the moment, as we are still trying to find the captain of AHK. But once we do come back from the break, we'll have a talk with the captain of AHK. So guys, don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Hello and welcome back. Joining us after Diamond's very insightful interview is Stereo. So the opposition for today's series, we have the jungler. Stereo, how are we doing?
Hello everyone. Hello all the spectators. I'm doing fine, I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, getting excited, getting this build up, let the tensions rise and getting into this best of three. Only a couple of questions for you. Undefeated streak coming through play-ins. Do you wanna tell us a little bit peek into the mental? Are you riding high on the confidence, or are you keeping yourselves grounded and trying to stay focused, or are you letting the confidence, letting the kind of wave gather up behind you?
Okay, man. I mean, now it's or in or out. We have no choice. We have to stay focused. We have to play the best, and we have to stomp everyone.
Absolutely, no second chances. Single elim. If you get upset in a series, it's a long way to fall from perfect. But that being said, you have everything to prove here. So being able to carry this through into the playoffs, we like to see this. The confidence doesn't waver in the best of three. Des, do you have any other questions?
I definitely, just a few words, I definitely feel like confidence is the biggest key. So how have you guys come prepared for today's games being 12-0?
I mean, our only confidence is being 12-0 because we are only playing the way that we love, the way that we can. We are not. We do not have any secret behind. There is no secret behind our play style. We're just playing how we like. I mean, our elo is not even that much of a gap between our opponents. It's never been. And every opponent of us against us was awesome, and we're just excited to face someone we didn't yet face.
So is that your message for all the teams out there, that you don't need a secret trick, you don't need to be faker to win games, you just need to go out there, play your own game, and hope that it works?
Actually, this is my advice. Just play your game, play how you know. Just never think who you have in front of. Just think who you are and play the way that you know and the way that you want. And you
Of-
will end up 12-0, I guess.
Of course, and it does sound like you guys are very confident going into this. Obviously, you should be, but I think, like you mentioned, it's always good to be humble and always be aware of who you're playing against, and just look at the game in front of you. And then after you're done with that, just go to the next game and the next game, and not look too far into the future.
No, sure. I mean, we studied our opponents, so we know that Unshot, Diamond Killer, but even the mid laner that I don't remember right now the name. They're really good. They're really good players, and we're just going to play. We're just going to play our game, and we're humble for. I mean, we're not going to. We're not going there like, okay, we are 12-0, so just let us cross this line to your nexus. We know that we have to play, and we'll play. We'll demonstrate what we can do in the Summer's Rift.
Of course, and it's not gonna be easy as well, like you said. I'm sure even with you guys being as good as you are, no team is gonna humble down and just give you the win. So you are still gonna have to fight for it. I would argue even more so now that you are in playoffs, now that it is a single elimination tournament. No teams can afford to really make mistakes, or it could cost you the entire thing. So I think now more than ever, every team that's out here are gonna have to prove themselves and show themselves that they can play and they have come here to play.
Sure, but I mean, every game in League of Legends is a best of one. Even if this is a best of three, there is no draw in League of Legends. So
Of course.
every game can go or win or lose, not else.
Yeah, that's the thing with League of Legends. You're always gonna have a winner. So
Yes.
all you need to do is just play your game and hope that it's gonna be you guys for tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if Sand has nothing else to add, I think that's all from me so far.
Nope. I'm just excited to get this thing kicked off. So thank you very much for the insight, Mr. Stereo. Good luck with your preparation and good luck in this series, sir.
Thank you. Good luck to our opponents, to every one of the other teams in the playoffs, and thank you very much to the organization of this beautiful tournament and to the other teams that didn't make to playoff, because we're here just to play as them, as every one of them.
Brilliant. Representing everybody in your path and behind you. That's the mindset we love to see coming out from the jungler. So we're going to be taking one more quick break and be getting ourselves geared up, psyched up, and ready to go for this champion select. So don't go anywhere, don't touch those dials, and we will be back in one moment.
who's running around. Break down, chase the light. We're rolling but on the go. Running for my life. Feel the light. Running for my life. Head high, we're alone. Are we taking all in front of us? Head high, how could we know it was all along on the side? We should read between the lines and we're on the right way to go. Head high, we're not alone. Oh, we are not out of luck. Running for my life. Feel the light. Running for my life. Running for my life. Running for my life. Running wild, I'm running for my.
All you left me was the radio, and it goes like ooh, ooh, yeah, yeah. And it goes like ooh, ooh, yeah, yeah. When I press play, all I hear is you. And it goes like ooh, ooh, yeah, yeah. When I press play, all I hear is you. Oh, every single song tells me we're through. Yeah, but I can't turn it off 'cause it's the truth. Yeah, it's the truth. And it goes like all you left me was the radio, and it goes like ooh, ooh, yeah, yeah. And it goes like ooh, ooh, yeah, yeah. When I press play, all I hear is you. And it goes like ooh, ooh, yeah, yeah. When I press play, all I hear is you. Oh, every single song tells me we're through. Yeah, but I can't turn it off 'cause it's the truth. Yeah, it's the truth. And it goes like and it goes like ooh, ooh, yeah, yeah. When I press play, all I hear is you. Oh, every single song tells me we're through. Yeah, but I can't turn it off cause it's the truth. And it goes like, yeah, yeah. But all I hear is, oh, yeah. Cause it's the truth. And it goes like, ooh, yeah, yeah. When I press play, all I hear is you. Oh, every single song tells me we're through. Yeah, but I can't turn it off cause it's the truth. Yeah, it's the truth.
Welcome back, guys, to the best of 3 between AHK and Tlpp. As we'll be getting into the draft momentarily. We did just have a word with both of the teams a moment ago, and definitely say both teams seem very confident coming into this. Obviously, AHK currently 12-0, so they are the definite favorites coming into this game at the moment, but you never know what's gonna happen. As we do start draft here, AHK will be banning the Elise Camille. We do see Tlpp with the Momo ban. We did see that their support and jungle of AHK did like to play on Momo, so that is a very good ban coming from the side of Tlpp. Does remove away the flex from the side of AHK, because it is a very strong champion in both roles at the moment. We might see the Caitlyn ban. Obviously, Caitlyn has fallen out of favor a little bit with the last patch, with the nerfs that she has gotten, as we do see the Syndrome coming through from the side of AHK. Very good ban and a very strong champion at the moment, as we might see that Zaya get taken away. Now, I do find this interesting that Tlpp do decide to take away the Zaya instead of letting it go through and potentially countering it. How do you feel about that, Sam?
I know that it is one of the most played champions for the highest rated AHK player, with Jackie being that diamond in the bot lane. So knocking the comfort out of their hands, I do tend to agree with it. Counterpicking it is an option, but just take it away. As you mentioned before, the Amumu being a huge ban, knocking it out of both the jungle and support roles on the other side. So I would agree with the bans for the most part going through, and Elise obviously never making it into the hands of the enemy team with 122 solo queue games already grinded out on it. That is comfort to the nines.
Yeah, I think definitely so far pretty standard banning phase and picking phase coming through for both teams, as we do see Ari being locked in for the side of AHK. Tlpp will choose to respond with the Victor, presumably yes. Both very solid mid laners at the moment. Obviously, Victor gives you that late game scaling option and that push in the mid lane once he gets a couple of levels and some components in. Ari obviously should have early prio with the wave clear that she has. That will be superior to Victor, so we will have to see how AHK mid jungle duo do choose to use the priority they have. And we have an Aphelios lock-in! Okay.
Aphelios early on, trying to go for that hyper carry, hunt soft, really trying to take matters into his own hands. I will say one wrinkle before we keep going, that both teams play that Syndra. Both Painzer and the opposition both play the Syndra, and with blue side, it's interesting to see it hit the ban table instead of being picked up. So this Ari is definitely a guaranteed lock-in and early priority put on it, considering they could have alternated over to that Syndra. So there's a huge emphasis on that in the mid lane for AHK.
Definitely. I definitely agree, as we do have the Zac lock-in. I really like this Zac. Because I think AHK have noticed that they're playing against an immobile mid lane, they're playing against an immobile bot lane, and I think this Zac is a very good answer to that. It has a lot of early pressure with Ari as well, having setup and having follow-up with the charm if they can land the skill shots. Obviously, Zac E does need a couple of levels for it to be that range that you can use it to gank effectively, unless you can somehow set up with the Ari before the Zac. But I think that's still a very good response from the side of AHK. And AHK's comp so far, we'll see what they end up doing with the bot lane here, but so far it's looking very strong, as we do see Tlpp respond with the Gragas, getting some disengage there with the AHK having the Zac, the Kled obviously like to go in, like to roll into the enemy team, so we might see an aggressive bot lane here coming out of the side of AHK.
Yep, absolutely perfect breakdown so far, where you have the two immobile carries on Tlpp, so find ways to threaten the immobile carries on AHK, and the counter to the counter is the Gragas with the disengage. So nice little game of rock, paper, scissors here, back and forth. It is lopsided bans so far, with the entire top side of AHK taken, bot lane still yet to be picked. With Tlpp having grabbed up the AD carry, naturally you're going to want to pinch down that AD carry pool that we mentioned. The Xayah already falling, along with the Samira and Kai'Sa to follow it up.
Yeah, definitely, and I think, like you said, the reverse image of the drafts here, I think is quite interesting to me, because I think it does show the certain priority that the two teams have coming into this, and the two strategies that they have set up, as we do see their Rakan being taken away. Now, we haven't really, at least, I'm mainly referring to pro play, but we haven't really seen the Rakan outside of Xayah, as we might have a Fiora lock-in here into the Kled.
Hover, don't get baited by the hover, wait
Please
until this thing
do.
is locked.
Please do.
I was expecting 5th pick to be that top laner, with Diamond being a very prominent force
He did
for
it.
Tlpp. It is locked.
He did
So
it.
the gauntlet has been thrown. Fiora, very good matchup into this Kled with the easier riposte on that bear trap on a rope, and being one of those fighters that Diamond tends to take. So something spicy up there. We're not left to the Cho'Gath, Ornn, Sion, Maokai, let Noodles beat each other up for 30 minutes and team fight later on. We're going to have some spice up here in the top lane, so that's exciting already for Tlpp.
And you know what? That makes me really happy. That makes me really happy, because it means neither team are willing to back down. Both teams have come here with confidence. As we do see AHK locking Thresh, I would assume an immobile AD carry here for AHK, maybe a Jinx, potentially. But like you said, that Fiora is very good into the Kled, gets the easy stun with the bear trap on a rope from the side of the Kled, so we'll have to take an eye on this top lane, like I said, the Jinx.
Yep. Good call out with the Kai'Sa. The Kai'Sa, the Samira, and the Xayah all taken off the table. The Jinx is the next comfort pick down here. A little ways, playing a little bit, but not so often. Braum more disengaged, trying to buy space for those two powerful carries. That would make a lot of sense in my head. And even a little bit of an advantage matchup here into the Thresh, able to stuff what the Jinx Thresh is looking to do. So up here, immediately before, there it is, the lock-in there. So immediately my eyes are drawn to the top lane. Top lane
Yep.
is a very swingy matchup. Kled gets ahead, he will just roll through the entirety of Tlpp, but he's in a bit of a tricky spot where it's much tougher to get an advantage against a Fiora than it would be if he was just beating on some brick wall up in the top lane, farming up nice and easy. So top lane is going to be likely where our camera is focused. Any other thoughts with the draft so far, Dessa, as we are able to round these two out and know where everything is belonging?
I definitely agree. I think this top lane is something we do want to take a look at, but as well, on the flip side, I think if this Jinx does fall behind, AHK will have a really difficult time breaking through the Gragas, breaking through the Braum. And what I find really interesting with both of these comps is that they're sort of mirrors of each other in a way, where AHK, they have the Zac, they have the Kled, they have the Thresh, they want to run into Tlpp. So what Tlpp did, and I really commend them for this, is they drafted the Gragas, they drafted the Braum, and they said, look, if you guys are gonna run into us, our entire game plan is gonna to be run away with Victor lasers, with Chaos Storm, maybe some of Helios red gun, white gun action, and we're just not gonna fight you.
Absolutely, being able to kite out that initial engage and then be able to turn it around with those big explosive casks, with that big Braum ultimate. Once you use all your tools going in, you're pretty much stuck up a creek without a paddle, and you got no ways to get out, and you're going to be run down by the damage pouring out of those two carries. So it will be early game focus up on the top lane, but later on, you got to be looking at that Aphelios, at that Victor, It's gonna be one big game of protect the president. If they stay alive in those fights, they got a fighting chance. But if they drop to a random elastic slingshot or Kled's charge, which is one of the best names in the game, spell, they will. Yeah, the fight is gonna look completely different depending on who is able to soak up those spells. If it's a Gragas Braum, you're doing well. If it's a squishier target, that bear trap is gonna be sinking its teeth in deep.
Listen, man, Kled is a simple man. He has simple abilities, he has simple likes, he might have like 7 million names, but still, he's just Kled. And I definitely think that AHK are gonna have to play these team fights really well, because I do think if AHK make a misstep, they have no tools, like you said, of going out. I think if once you lock in the Zac, once you lock in the Kled, if you use that Zac to go in, if you use the Kled to go in, and you don't get a kill, you don't find value, you're stuck. You have nowhere to go. Yeah, you have a Thresh Lantern, but you can only Lantern one person, my friend. After that, the Lantern is gone. So you're gonna be sacrificing somebody to the Wolves, and I think that's the main thing that AHK need to look out for. I think they need to play with confidence, and I think they need to have immaculate team play to make their comp work out.
Yeah, it's a one-way ticket. One of these teams is dying for sure. Whether AHK is able to get that assassination or they are going to be wiped in the process. So, again, the tournament is getting a little bit spicy. We were expecting a bit of a David versus Goliath situation, and that's what it ends up being. AHK being the aggressors, being the ones with the pick potential, the slingshots, the bear traps, the charms, the hooks, everything flying out. And on the other side, LLP is TLPP, pardon me, is going to be trying to hold them at arm's distance, and they're going to be the Davids. If you can get one well-placed rock from that sling, you can fell Goliath. So it's going to be exciting as we are getting ready to jump on into this. Spectator delay is going to be buying a little bit of time.
Yeah, it just means we're gonna have to buy 3 minutes. Surely we can do that. But yeah,
Absolutely.
I think especially if you fall behind on the Kled as AHK, you're gonna have a very difficult time on this top lane going up against the Fiora split. I think another thing we will need to take a look at as well once we go into the game and the game does progress a bit is the build of the Fiora. Because what we've seen for the most part in this patch is a more split push Divine Sunderer Hullbreaker type of Fiora build. Obviously Fiora is one of those champions that has had her build altered, apologies, for a long time now. I think we've seen it sway between more Gore Drinker teamfight Fiora towards more Divine Sunderer, towards more Gore Drinker, back and back again. So I think that's another thing that's gonna be interesting this game. I would like to see, if he does get ahead, I would like to see him go for Divine Thunder and maybe try get some of that split push action. Hullbreaker, just tell his team to go do their thing. He's gonna go out to get the milk and he's not gonna come back.
Yeah, rocking up to every one of those towers with Sheen procs, demolishes, Hullbreakers, and turning those towers into rubble with a few swift chops. The one thing we really haven't mentioned here is the dynamic between the two junglers, Zac versus Gragas. If you were picking sides on that, how do you, which side are you favoring in that the early aggression here?
So I have PTSD with Gragas. I am a what they would call in the League of Legends community a Gragas hater. I think that champion is just, it's only really good in certain situations. So I think the Zac does offer you a lot more variety when it comes to that. So in my personal opinion, I would favor the Zac, but that's just because I don't like Gragas.
Okay, now then it is my responsibility as your foil and as your partner in crime throughout this cast, and as an unabashed M7 Gragas player, Mastery 7,
God. How many
Gragas
points?
spammer. I think it's not very many. I think it's like 120, like 120k total. Like
Oh.
but I play it in 4 roles. I play it top, mid, jungle, and stuff. So I'm a big fan of Gragas. The one thing I will say in this matchup, Body Slam beats everything. Kled charges in, Body Slam wins. Elastic Slingshot, Body Slam wins. RE dashes out, Body Slam still cancels it. The Big Ol' Belly just has priority of every single movement spell in the game. Camille Hookshot comes to mind. So you're able to knock the Zac out of the air. So yes, Cask, very vital tool and able to buy space for your backliners. But sometimes you can just throw yourself in the path of the slingshot. You don't have to knock him out of the air with the barrel. If you just get in the way of it, get down, Mr. President, I'll take this one for you. So we're going to be looking to see what kind of plays Andy is able to buy for his backline.
I mean, isn't that a part of the reason why Gragas' belly is so big? It helps him protect his team. It helps him block most things. Because what would Gragas be without his big belly, right?
That's true.
And I definitely think that his big belly will come into use this game. Like you said, it's excellent at blocking a lot of the engage on the side of AHK. Obviously, Kled Ultimate, unfortunately, is unstoppable. But if you can cancel the first dash on Kled if you do time it right. So I think this Gragas is gonna be a key part in TLPP success if they do get it today. And I think with that as well, we're gonna need to see a lot of good communication come out from the side of TLPP. Because if you have any disarray in those ranks, if people are confused on what's going on, if we see Gragas engaging on someone 1v5 or Gragas disengaging when they want to fight, I can already see him saving lives with his Cask.
Yeah, we've all been there. A flash comes out and you deliver the 200 HP carry safely into the waiting arms of their team. But
It's
we're
like
gonna be
Poppy,
jumping
right?
straight into the rift. All right, let's bring the excitement, bring the fire. We got a cheesy death bush already. TLPP. If you can't beat them on even playing fields, let's try and make it cheesy. I respect the attempt coming out of TLPP.
Yeah, I definitely think that they definitely tried something there. Obviously, AHK not wanting to take any risks doesn't end up going for the early invade. But still, definitely good job on TLPP's side to be awake. As they were actually enough scared for the invade that we do see 2 wards in the river on the side of TLPP come down. And I think that's partly also because of the Kled, the Zac being really good level 1. Same with if Ari does start Charm, it's just a lot of single target damage coming out from the side of AHK. And I think that's the main thing that TLPP were scared of, because they really don't want this bot lane and this mid lane to fall behind. As the Victor, as the Aphelios, you're gonna be a lot of your team's damage as well in these longer fights. But yeah, I think definitely this top lane, keep an eye out on that one.
Absolutely. There's definitely going to be some fireworks early on, you have to imagine, already dashing forward and getting 2 of those vital stacks of diamond, showing the counter pick exactly what it's supposed to be looking like. You're assuming Fiora's going to get her leads. But the last thing that we didn't really get a chance to mention in our moment of, like, pause beforehand, there we go, riposte on the bear trap a little bit early, but dashing forwards underneath, eating a tower shot, getting the vital in trade, but the tower shot pretty much equalizing it. Not what you're wanting to do if you are here for diamond. Look here in the bot lane, Zap, not going to be much follow-up here with the concussive blows not being stacked, just trading across the board. Little bit of dismount already before we were able to even get our eyes back up here. So yeah, just like we were saying, fireworks early on here.
Yeah, and definitely in this top lane as well. As you can see, like the Kled already is definitely lower than he would like to be in situation. We do have a charm landing. Good trade on the Victor, hook landing on the bot lane. Asuna could be in trouble. No. The shield does come out. And that, like you said, in Champsack, we have a kill on the top lane.
No, he's able to just dip on out of there with the flash, so able to buy the space required. But usually Kled is going to want to be able to trade his health bar for the enemy top laner's health bar, get that rage stacked up, and get Skarl back. However, playing just a little bit too aggressive, Fiora's able to punish it, so not able to get that remount without spending both summoners in the top lane with the wave crashing. So Fiora already getting the lead that we would expect, 18 to 8 in the CS department, plus double sums, able to TP back if she wishes, or with the wave crashing, knowing that it's going to head the other way and come to her, save that summoner spell.
And I think that's another thing, because we do have a gank on mid lane, but Andy unfortunately won't get anything out of that. We'll head to the bot side. But as I was saying, I think with this Kled not having flash now, that's definitely somewhere where Andy can look to abuse. Like you mentioned, the wave state in the top lane, it will be pushing back into Diamond Killer now. So if Andy does choose to go topside off of this base, as we do have the Zac looking in the mid lane, does get pinged out. Good vision control there from the side of the Victor, as we will actually see Andy head to the bot side here, which is... I would have assumed he would like to gank the Kled without flash, but he just wants to go get his bot side camps.
Yeah, ideally, you would just be able to go punish that summoner. However, one of two things is happening. Either Gragas values his CS over the independence of his top laner, or you have faith in your top laner to get the lead on his own. If you think that your top laner is able to, Chompers are going to be able to connect to your two-man route, playing it both in. Cleanse is going to be blown, trade of summoners here, as the Ignite doesn't end up actually being dropped. Health bars auto for auto, half health as everybody disengages, but the Cleanse is a nice start for AHK as they begin making inroads in this. But Kragus, that we mentioned before, is able to make his wandering little roll down this way. So let's see if that ends up amounting in anything. Trading up here in the top lane. Keep our eyes on the bot lane for just 1 second though. See if anything amounts. Kragus is wasting a good bit of time here sitting in this bush, so this doesn't amount to anything. We got a 3v3 coming in. Flash is flashing out of range of the lantern. Oh, it's a mistake here from the support as biceps are going to be slammed together. First blood going over to the Jinx, and now she is excited. Aphila is doing what he can, but he's not going to be able to match up to this Jinx with her passive. And despite a bit of a misstep, flashing out of range of the lantern for your jungler in the mid lane, the Charm is going to be able to land in a solo kill. So 3-0 AHK storming out to an early 2k gold lead here.
This is a disaster from the side of Tlpp. We did see on the bot lane, the fight, Jinx Chompers did beautiful job stopping the engage from Asuna and stopping any engage they had. That was very good awareness from Andy to be down there when Stereo was down there as well, and I think that was beautifully played from the side of both junglers, as AHK do take a 3-kill lead, 1.5k gold at the moment, as we see more trading in the top lane. But I think that was beautifully played, and we had, at the same time, had a solo kill in the mid lane, just Painzor managing to find the lead that he wanted to find on the Victor, obviously a lot better than the Victor in the early game as well. So that's definitely something that he did want to do. As maybe, like you said, maybe Andy did trust his top lane, and maybe he did know something that we don't, as we have a fight here in the top side.
Yep, Cled's going to be able to dismount here, but nothing much more happening. Charm isn't going to amount to a huge amount. Trading out the ultimate. Gravity not going to stun it out, so I'm expecting a disengage here for Painzor. Gragas is giving chase, though, so Flash might have to be expended, choosing to flash late, so soaking the damage and the summoner spell. Flash for flash, a good play out of Andy, able to get himself trading up in the world. If you're willing to give up your flash as a jungler for the mid laner, you're going to be happy with that.
And I think especially if you are the Ahri in that situation, that's a trade you're always gonna take. Because you, as Ahri, do have you have the three flashes in your kit regardless. And obviously that's something that Andy doesn't possess. He does have the body slam, which he can use to get out of tricky situations if it's off cooldown, but outside of that, really has nothing to get out of sticky situations if he does end up getting in one, as we have an engage in the top side. Could just be a little
likely
bit of
just be
trading.
able to, yeah. Oh, Grand Challenge is being dropped here. The dismount is going to be dropped. Unfortunately, not a lot much more happening. Walking forwards, just trying to get those autos out, but trading out the ult for a dismount. The Skarl is on his way back in, so you gotta be careful if you're Diamond here. If you stay a little bit too long, that lizard will come roaring back to his master side. So try not to greed a little bit too long. Able to drop the ultimate just for pressure. As we see two wandering forwards, but they are spotted out on that ward. So again, wording across the board has been pretty solid, able to deal with most of these like sneaky plays of people wandering from angles that might not be expected. A lane gank on either side ends up being the only way that inroads are made, and AHK starting up the dragon.
Yeah, and I definitely think that's something that we should highlight right now in TLPP's game. So far, I think they've had excellent vision control. Obviously, we did see Andy still get that play down bot side with the vision control that they did establish, as they will be trying to secure this dragon. I don't see TLPP having any contest in here whatsoever. It will be a Cloud Drake, not the best Drake you wanna get as the first one. Obviously, we do have things like the Ocean Drake, which is really good, things like the Infernal. Painzor dashing in.
Andy shoved here off of his blue buff. Unfortunate for him. We'll see. Charm is eventually able to connect here. Gragas is going to be tied up and dropped as he's just walked at in his own jungler. As bad goes to worse. He's counter ganked in the bot lane, and that lead eventually bleeds over to his blue buff being yanked out from under his nose.
Yeah, and that's, again, we talked about the vision control of TLPP, and again, they just knew. They knew exactly what was happening. Unfortunately, Andy couldn't make it out this time, but I think they were definitely still on top of it, and AHK so far is playing the game very well. Now, another thing I'd like to highlight is that, like we said in Champ Select, yeah, this top lane has been bloody, but it's the Jinx that's 3-0. And a Jinx that's ahead can be really scary. Yeah, we have seen a lot of trading here in the top lane, but like outside of that, both top laners are still 0-0-0. And we've seen both junglers focus down this bot lane as well, and no really jungle action in the top lane. So yeah, like you said, Andy just shake hands with Diamond Killer, said, look, I trust you, this is your lane, I'm just gonna spend my time down bot.
Yep, as you see him wandering forwards, is charmed up once again as Zach is able to sailing in, missing the skill shot, but able to flash the mastery on the way past. That was a moral victory if I've ever seen one from the jungler AHK.
Hey, you have one of those on Gragas.
The flash in the mastery as I missed the skill shot? Absolutely. Remember those barrels we were talking about that just kind of deliver AD carries to safety? I have done my fair share of mastery flaring, so respect
so
to the
that's
Zach getting in on the
you.
action. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I definitely think this was a good job from Andy to get out of there. And like I mentioned earlier, yeah, he might not have had flash as it is back up now. We have a dive on the top side.
To contest, but Zach is here to counter the play. Q is not going to be able to land. Going up into that ultimate is this Zach. Jinx rocket sailing past, but is able to get the riposte out of this Fiora. Gragas now caught out on the wrong side of the town. The divers become the divees as Bear Trap still grabs him back. Grand challenge is issued. Both the Gragas and the Kled dangerously low as they both fall. There's been a trade of top laner for jungler, but Fiora is likely to win this, even with very little mana to work with. Double buffs on the Zach might be able to buy him a little bit of space. As down in the bot lane, there's another dive coming out here as Unbreakable soaks up the damage and the Aphelios pumps it in with plays all across the map. TLPP swinging back.
Beautiful play from the side of Diamond Killer, showing his powers on the Gnar. Could be in trouble. Painzor does
more
that.
charm lands, and with no mana to work with, not much dodging to be done. The riposte isn't going to buy very much, with Painzor able to grab it up, dashing away with that extra charge. Both summoners have been spent on both of these mid laners. Charm's able to connect once more with these charms. Point and click ability, flashing yet another mastery. Painzor really putting on a performance and showing why this was grabbed up. First pick over the Syndra.
I was just about to commend TLPP for being able to find angles and a comeback to this game. And then Painzor just reads my mind and he's like, you know what? Try to talk about them, I'll show you what I can do. And he certainly did, as Andy is gonna be looking for things on the bot side here, maybe. Could potentially have a gank. But once again...
It's warded out once again, though. TLPP has full information.
Stereo
Zach
is here.
Yeah, it's going to be a 3v3. Charging up that Alexis shot. There it is. Box is dropped, being able to flay 2 already. Canceling out of that E. Going into the stopwatch is the Thresh. The first Q connects, but again, miscues on either side. Beautiful death sentence grabs up the Braum with a little bit of messy play here and there, but it's still working out in AHK's favor as they're able to grab up a tidy 2-for-0.
You know what? That didn't work out. That somehow didn't work out, but I think Stereo did get a little bit stressed there, canceling out the E. Not sure if it's what he wanted to do, but maybe he's just showing off, showing us a reason why he has the mastery emote, showing us that he doesn't need the elastic slingshot. But
Yeah, I mean, it still worked out, so you can't really you can't fault the guy. The successful gank. Throw up the thumbs up and peace out.
You know what? We do have this Jinx on 4-on-1. If we can take a look at the gold for the moment, this Jinx is 4-on-1, but both AD carries do still have the exact same items. This Jinx is ahead by a pickaxe, but for her being 4-1, that's not that much, as Jinx is ahead only by 1k gold, as that's a TP down bot lane.
Yeah, Kled is joining the party down here, but he's going to be stunned up with those concussive blows. He yanks back the Braum and dropping the ult, but a massive amount of resources committed, giving Fiora free time up here in the top lane, not amounting to as much as they would want. They will get the dragon back, but they will be trading a lot of damage onto that top tower, not to mention the Herald going over to Tlpp, so not quite finding exactly what they're looking for with that play as the death sentence goes wide.
Yeah, I definitely think a little bit of miscommunication on the side of AHK there.
A whole turret just getting chewed up. As we mentioned, this Fiora with the Divine Sunder early on, Sheen procs plus Demolish, just wailing on that thing up there in the top lane.
You were talking about the Sheen procs and the Divine Sunder as well in Champ Select, how much damage it can do to towers in such a short period.
Yeah, Rocket is not going to be able to pick up the kill, dropping dangerously low, but enough damage soaked up with that E, that Unbreakable out of the Braum, but giving a huge amount of gold into this Fiora. She is definitely the shining light, as we were expecting out of this Tlpp team. Diamond, the one who was on with the interview, was able to give some confidence and some kind of some words of wisdom for us, flashing the death sentence as she's able to get as much HP from the shield as is required and let her support do the dirty work as Thresh slaps him over the head with the scythe and stuffs him into the lantern. A kill for the support of AHK.
That was a beautiful attempt from Hanzo. Tried to flash the death sentence as well there. Unfortunately didn't quite get it this time as the lantern did come out. But definitely a good try from him, and did a spot slam in. It's a good pass.
Ask is able to knock 2. Chaos Storm dropped on top of the Ahri. The Barrel is able to get the slow and hold her in that ultimate that we mentioned with slipping Victor out, buying the time. Glacial Rift pounding down, but the Kled is able to dash on out of there with a lantern to grab his jungler to safety too. With only one falling, they're able to answer back. It's still not quite done yet, able to soak up a lot of damage with this Braum. We got a full-on ARAM here. 16 minutes in, and everyone's like, side lane's overrated. Let's just throw hands. Honorable gentleman's duel in the middle of the rift.
I definitely think that maybe both teams are playing this a little bit, maybe too aggressively, but definitely confident coming from both teams here. As like you said, a lot of action in the mid lane. And I think we really had this game, it was a slow start from both teams, but it blew up very quickly. And I think that blow up has been to the side of AHK for the most part. Now the gold lead is even, and I think that's more so to do with the Huntsoft being able to get that bot tower, being able to get the solo gold and most of the plates. So they're not actually ahead on gold. And I mean, they are by 400, but what's 400 gold in a game like League of Legends? That's like a longsword and a potion. It's like 1080.
Yeah, it's up around the 1k mark, but yeah, absolutely. The scoreboard is lying to you a little bit with just how much structure gold was farmed. It's equalized now with the mid T1 dropping as well, but there's still gold in these carries pockets. A lot of plates on the Aphelios, a lot of plates and a full turret on this Fiora. So they're still not as out of this as you would expect with the 10-3 scoreline. So I expect more fighting, more bleeding, and more aggression. As both of these teams, you want to set your series off with the advantage. This is your very first time in the playoffs. You're going to be kicking it off correctly as they're soaking up some tower shots. Dismount is likely to happen. There is One more poke is able to send Skarl skittering, and he has to retreat with Shelly. Big wave here too, as they're able to stop the crash. That would be big here for AHK. Able to get her a little bit distracted.
They
She
got
flips
it.
around and knocks her down before Shelly is able to ram her noggin into that bot T3. But still, massive amount of gold picked up in these structures. TLPP really playing demolitionist here, trying to get as many of those down as possible. Now focusing their eyes here. Stop my point here. Charm, there it is, there it is. Cleansing away from it, but it doesn't matter. You can't cleanse death. Aphelios dropping here in the mid lane. A little bit greedy for those structures we mentioned.
Does get sent to the fountain here. I think a little bit of an overstay on his side there. But yeah, like you mentioned, a lot of this gold have come from the towers, have come from the plates. And I think AHK's biggest question right now is this Fiora. How do you deal with this Fiora if you're AHK? Because he's so far ahead and he can just, I think he can beat anyone in a side lane, especially if we have a cast.
Beautiful explosive cask knocking him into the waiting arms of this Fiora you are just in the middle of talking about. And she is really rolling in this game. If you're the Kleds, you want to stay the heck away from her, because you can't touch her at this point in time with that another team-at item about to be completed. That sentence goes wide, stunned up by the gravity well. Chaos Storm is dropped, but the jungler is knocked down into those bloblets, soon to be mopped up there. It is shut down going over to the AD carry, and 2-0, TLPP storming back into this, equalizing the gold, and picking up a dragon for themselves, equalizing that too. Let's see if there's any contest coming out at AHK.
And I definitely think that this is something they might not want to look into, as the Kled is looking. I think his attempts might be feeble here, but he's looking, he's trying his best. But I definitely think that Diamond Killer is the person we want to look at for the moment, at least, as he's so strong. Like you said, this Kled wants to stay away from this Fiora. There is no chance that you can actually beat him in a side lane right now, as he has back now and has completed the Ravenous Hydra as well, so he's just that much stronger. As Painzor is looking for something, is gonna find the Brawn, and that's not the target.
Looking for a little bit more than just a Brawn, but still a massive chunk here. The Electrocute, both pass-throughs of the Q and the Empowered Charm damage, is able to knock even one of the stouter members of TLPP back into the fountain as he has to go soak up some HP. Down to a third, so if that is onto a squishier member of TLPP, even the Gragas, going for that AP build, it's just likely that without those extra resistances, they might just be putting them in the ground. So we'll have to be looking out for those charms. Pains are landing a couple really big ones early on in this game. So if you're an AHK fan, even with parity across the board, you're definitely going to be looking to him to keep landing those and keep those coming.
Jackie does end up throwing the emote for the red buff, as it did get a couple of resets. Painzor could be in trouble. The charm does
Charm
land.
is able to connect, stashing away Electrocute. Zac is here to reinforce it though, and I don't think this slingshot goes wide. There's the riposte, but not getting any damage. CC'd back on the other side, likely just dropping his way down here. Zac is able to mop this one up, slipping out. The Mastery Flare, so much sustained from this Fiora with the extra Ravenous stack, is able to buy a huge amount of time and at least to get one back for his team. Diamond Killer buying a lot more time than I would have expected and getting a 1-for-1 jungler for top lane.
I mean, yeah, Diamond Killer, even in that 2v1, he's just so unbelievably strong right now, as we do have another fight here in the mid lane.
Yeah, ping's coming out left, right, and center. Helios ult is dropped. Box is also soon to follow it up as Glacial Fisher is able to put Gragas in the dirt. Everybody just spamming their spells with Chaos Storms and boxes and Kled charges. Everyone getting in the mosh pit. When the dust finally settles, we got a Gragas, a mid laner, and a support on one side dropping for only the Thresh of the other. So, net positive trade for AHK and a very chaotic team fight.
Yeah, and like you said, we do have a Baron start up here.
She's a little bit far from home here, though. Diamond Killer in the middle of 4 here as Zac charges full. CC her up. A lot of regen here. On the back half of this, Aphelios is grabbed too. It will buy you a moment, but a moment is all it will buy you with the riposte as a double kill goes over to this Ahri. Right as we mentioned her charms, she hits 3 consecutive, and with her hat trick, gets her team a Baron.
Yeah, and AHK do start the Baron here. We'll see if TLPP tries to go for the steal and is waddling his way over. The plant is up. He does have body slam.
Plant is up. Cask is able to knock away the enemy jungler to try and give you the best as smite as possible. So that is definitely something you're going to want to keep away. Don't give him the 50-50. If you're on AHK, there it is. Hook lands. Do not give him the 50-50 as the Jinx is able to pick it up. Smite is not true, but still the result is the same, with the cherry on top being Andy dropping for his troubles. Little bit scary stuff here for AHK, a little bit of jitter showing through, keeping the jungler so close to the Baron, but the result is a convincing win here for AHK.
And I think if you are the side of TLPP here, you might be a little bit in trouble, as the Fiora is much less effective in the side lane against Baron up minions, just because it takes you so much longer to kill each minion wave. So even if you're the Kled, even if you can't 1v1 the Fiora, by you just standing there, you're being such a nuisance, you're being so annoying. And I think AHK, they're slowly but surely taking this game away.
Yeah, punching a couple missteps out of the carries of TLPP, I would say. They have done a good job exploiting those weaknesses when they were presented to them, especially got to give the nod over to the Zac and the Ahri, both finding them. But as I say that, I'm so sorry, Caster Curse coming true as Ahri is dropped. The minute I give you props, you hit the dirt. I'm so sorry, Painzer. Massive shutdown over to the AD carry at TLPP.
Oh my god, it goes to Aphelios as well, as we have more fighting in the bot side river here. TLPP are looking
likely
as
able to walk their way
quite
out here as we
empowered.
cut up to the top lane. As the Gravity Well is able to buy space. Melee champion versus a Victor. You ain't getting in arm's reach, but the dragon will be claimed by the death of Painzer. So compliments to the Ahri are quickly repaid in blood with Baron push. Able to trade out the dragon for what's likely to be 2 turrets, maybe even an inhib if they full commit to this. Victor, walking too far forwards, will get himself knocked up and slapped down with the extra autos out of this Jinx. Going excited. It's able to pump out a massive amount of damage. You see those 700 damage crits already, so she's quietly farmed up to 3 items plus boots. She's getting strong. Aphelios getting the injection of gold he needs to stay almost on pace with her, but still a little bit behind the curve of Jackie George here. So not quite out of the woods yet. 5k down, another one. There it is. Riposte is going to be used to start the fight off, going for that slow, sidestepping away from the Charm Grand Challenge as we snap away from the fight down there. Looking like the mana bar was the reason Diamond Killer is going to have to call that one off as the box is dropped here. Biceps quickly dropping, able to be hooked back in by the death sentence as the Kled is going to be turned and burned. Red, white, don't fight, and they didn't take the advice as Aphelios rips them to shreds. Jinx what she can on the way back. They're able to get the passive, but Aphelios, a triple kill over to him, and the fighting does not stop as the chase down continues from the mid laner all across the map. That's what you never have to do in a Mr. 200 years. You gotta look at those guns. Red, white, so much vamp, so much damage. Close quarters fighting is what he wants. And he comes roaring back into this game for the side of TLPP.
And this Aphelios is, I think, TLPP's way of winning the game. I think the spotlight was on Diamond Killer for so long, but after Hansoft managed to pick up the shutdown after getting that 700 gold, he's completed his IE, he has Kraken, and like you said, he can output so much damage that it's ludicrous. If he lives, it's gonna be insane for the side of TLPP. Now, I do think the side of AHK, with having Zac, with having Kled, they do have ways to stop this Aphelios. The only thing is Hansoft has both sums up. If the AHK can manage to blow the flash off of the Aphelios, he's gonna be flashless. And I think if you're flashless as Aphelios against that comp, it's gonna be so difficult to just play the game into a Zac jumping on you, into an Ahri trying to hunt you down, Kled charging at you. But I think for the moment, TLPP are sitting pretty.
Yeah, quietly farming up into a full 3 items plus the components of the LDR. The one thing I will say is just a little chuckle that I had. We were crediting TLPP's vision control, how they're able to control so much space. Look in their inventories real quick. What do you see there, Dan?
that's that's every member having a control board. Some people
That
even
is
have
vision
two.
on vision on vision X5. Cleanse is able to be forced here with a nice charm while we were chuckling at those inventories, but it's still not going to change the fact this tower will be dropping. So, yeah, I had a little bit of a chuckle to myself as Cleanse ult is forced in disengage. There's no point really chasing him down, but it means that AHK does not have that tool. Another charm lands. Credit to this Ari. However, not too much credit because I don't want to be the one that steals her downfall. So we're going to give small, reasonable amounts of credit and hope that that wasn't too much already. I haven't already doomed this poor Ari. So keep an eye out on those charms if the clutch charms keeps landing or if I have done irreversible damage to our undefeated team of AHK.
You see, I recall the last time you spoke about the Ari. That was the time she got caught in bottom river. As Diamond Killer himself
It
might
is
be getting
indeed.
caught here.
Exploitive. Able to get a huge amount of lockdown before I'm
Oh
able to get
my
this thing
God.
started. Oh, two-man flay, everything dropped. Blue team is on the warpath, and there is not much fighting left as they storm forwards, wiping TLPP from the map. And before we can even finish our point, 5-0 in the finishing touches of this game have already been put. You have to imagine soaking this up with the Zac and the Kled, so it was close until it ain't. It seems to be the mantra of this game. Back and forth plays on both sides, 2-2 on the Dragons, but are they going to be able to have enough to punch through this? You have to imagine no one's up for 13 seconds. Not quite able to soak
Braum.
this, though.
The Braum.
Braum
The
up in
Braum's up in
5.
five.
The minion wave here to reinforce it. Seems to be some split calls as Zac is not with the team. 5 seconds left. Is there going to be an Alamo here? They're very chunked from this turret, but it's likely they just hit the Nexus here. You got to imagine they burn it down, and there it is. Okay, we had some hesitation. AHK, a couple split calls, a couple of B keys being pressed, but they come out swinging on both sides. But first blow, first blood, and game 1 going over to the blue team, setting themselves off on the right foot.
What a showing from both teams. Diamond Killer playing the best that he could on this Fiora, playing very well. But Painzor's charms, they were just a little bit too charming for TLPP to deal with, and AHK do take game 1. And I think it was beautifully played from the side of AHK. Obviously, Painzor landing a few clutch, very clutch charms, like you said, in the early game. And I think AHK really just never let go. And I think their pedal was foot down the entire game, take all these fights. And that was their entire game plan. Like we said in Champ Select, you have a Zac, you have a Kled, run them down. That's your game plan. Run at them until they die or until they kill you. But you just need to run at them. And AHK did run at them, and this time they ran them down.
And your job is made infinitely easier when they're once again walking to you with those charms. You might be advancing on them, but if you can hit those charms, your job is easy as pie. Credit over to the mid laner. If I had to give a nod, Painzor hitting a couple really big charms, pumping out the damage, getting the early solo bolo in the mid lane. And like you said, put to the floor the entire time. Absolute gas. There were some speed bumps in the middle for sure. There were a couple of mishaps, couple of canceled elastic slingshots, flashing out of your own lanterns, but nothing that can't be fixed with a little bit of a tune-up, knowing this is a BO3, right? Even though you're out to that 1-0 start, you're able to take a lead, you're able to get it going as you would want here. You still have to be able to knock this one down and put them to rest. So if you're expecting this to just be roll over and perish, undefeated team versus 5-5 underdog, I think they've definitely exceeded our expectations here for TLPP.
Definitely, and I think if they just got the control wards down that they had in their inventory at the end of the game, maybe they could have won it. But I definitely think that it was a very close game, and it was a very good showing from TLPP. Like we highlighted during the game as well, their vision control was amazing that game. And they
Abs-
really used that very well to their advantage.
Absolutely, but unfortunately, control words do not do damage, and so eventually they were overwhelmed by the side of AHK at the end. With one big team fight, Diamond able to get his Diamond giveth and Diamond taketh away, able to make his own leads, but also getting himself caught a couple of times with the Zac and the Ari finding him. So, gonna have to see if those mistakes can be scrubbed up. It is likely that we're gonna be going and taking a moment here. But any final thoughts here? Any final thoughts on game one that we had?
I definitely think that, like you said, we will be momentarily going to a break, but so far it's a good shot from both teams. And I definitely think that Tlpp, they have a chance to take this home. I don't think they're definitely out. I think what they just need to do is take that vision control, mix in a little bit of good execution, and I think they have themselves a winning formula. And I think that's the main thing that they need to be looking at, not to get discouraged, and just use those control wards, maybe buy them a little bit earlier next game, and not in the last team fight. And I think that's the key to winning, as we
You
will
definitely
be... Yes?
You definitely saw. I was just gonna say right before we closed. You definitely saw flashes of it, though. You definitely
Yeah.
saw flashes of what it could look like, especially down here in the bot lane with a couple of massive team fights. They were quietly rumbling their way along with brawls in the mid lane and the bot lane. So, yeah, definitely flashes of it. See who can get ironed out, who is here to adapt, and we will be anxious to see how this plays out moving forwards.
Definitely. And I think don't go anywhere, as game 2 will be starting momentarily, as we will be going to roughly a 10-minute break. So remember, guys, go to the bathroom, get yourself fueled up, stay hydrated, and don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Break down, we're alive, are we running circles, running around? Break down, chase the light, we're rolling but on the go. Running for my life. Feel the light. Running for my life. Running for my life.
yeah, yeah. And it goes like, ooh, yeah, yeah. When I press play, all I hear is you. And it goes like, ooh, yeah, yeah. When I press play, all I hear is you. Oh, every single song tells me we're through. Yeah, but I can't turn it off 'cause it's the truth. Yeah, it's the truth. And it goes like, all you left me was the radio. And it goes like, ooh, yeah, yeah. And it goes like, ooh, yeah, yeah. When I press play, all I hear is you. And it goes like, ooh, yeah, yeah. When I press play, all I hear is you. Oh, every single song tells me we're through. Yeah, but I can't turn it off 'cause it's the truth. Yeah, it's the truth. And it goes like, and it goes like, ooh, yeah, yeah. When I press play, all I hear is you. Oh, every single song tells me we're through. Yeah, but I can't turn it off 'cause it's the truth. And it goes like, yeah, yeah. Play, all I hear is you. Oh. Press play, all I hear is you. Oh, every single song tells me we're through. Yeah, but I can't turn it off 'cause it's the truth. Yeah, it's the truth. And it goes like, baby, can you pray tonight? Baby, can you pray for us? Oh, baby, can you pray? 'Cause every time you make time, it's only to the end. So pray tonight. So you won't know, yeah. For everywhere that we had, let's turn around and not do it. But I'll be ready every day. You know everything's alright. Are we gonna pray? Are you gonna pray? Pray for me and fast. Baby, pray for me and fast. Baby, pray for me and fast.
Welcome back, guys, to game 2 of AHK versus TLPP, first game of the playoffs. And we just saw AHK take a game 1 in a pretty dominant fashion towards the late game. Obviously, early game was pretty close between both teams. Jinx getting a little bit of a lead down in the bot lane, but Aphelios managing to catch up on TLPP side with all the structure gold they got. As we do head into the draft here, I wouldn't be surprised to see the same bans. Obviously, might look to take away the Ari, as we do see TLPP ban that first. Obviously, AHK very good with it last game. We saw them get some very good picks with it, and we might. Okay, so clearly TLPP doesn't like AHK's mid laner at the moment, as they're gonna ban Vex as well.
Yep, trying to knock as many of those off the table as possible. The likelihood is another probably Shen ban or something along those lines, trying to take a top laner out for the opposition, trying to make sure that Diamond is able to get his advantages up there. Or if we're going to see 80 carries get knocked off the table. Xayah last time was knocked off the side, and instead electing to do neither of those things with the Cassiopeia ban coming out of here.
They chose to strike back, but you know, we definitely do see a different start to this draft than last game. There is no Xayah ban, there is no Mumu ban, none of these things. Syndra is open as well if either team does choose to take it. You have the Gnar open as well, the Kai'Sa, the Samira, a lot of options that we didn't have last game are open this game, as we do see the Zac ban. TLPP did feel like it was a bit too oppressive for them to handle, so they do just end up taking it away from the table and the available champions to play, as we will see what AHK do lock in first, deliberating on it a lot more than they did last game, which just tells me that TLPP did do a good job on the bans. Not any obvious options on the side of AHK, but you know, as I say that, they do lock in the Amumu, like we talked about in the last draft. Obviously, both the support and the jungler play that one, and we will see a Gragas response from TLPP.
Yep, both Stereo and Exploitative are both pretty proficient on their Amumu, so being able to buy a little bit of flexibility and hide their picks, I'm likely not going to see another jungler taken for AHK, either a support or a jungler will be slid in next rotation, trying to preserve that flex so that way TLPP doesn't have something specific to target. But Andy, satisfied with his Gragas gameplay the first time, able to get a couple of nice disengages and a couple of really nice casks, delivering your backline into your front line and exactly where you want them, is going to go back on his comfort Gragas. And the Xayah, able to hit the Rift this time, not hitting the ban table.
Yeah, I think definitely we do see the Xayah lock in, and that's very exciting for TLPP, because now what they've done is they've just secured the best win rate AD carry of this patch, so obviously it will give them a better chance of winning than the Aphelios, on paper at least. Now obviously with this being League of Legends, we never know what happens, but if the stats prove true, they should have a higher chance of winning, as we do see AHK respond with the Syndra. Obviously a very good laner at the moment, and very good scaler into the late game, very similar to the Victor we saw last game. As we do see the Kai'Sa lock in response to the Xayah. Now both supports are still open, as we will potentially see the Rakan lock in. I don't see why you wouldn't.
Yeah, you got to imagine the lovers are going to be paired up here in the bot lane, so that seems like a pretty sensible red side 3 pick. Otherwise, it's obviously going to be banned out for AHK, and seems to do well into the Syndra. Kai'Sa is going to be able to be a little bit harder to pin down, but getting onto that Syndra is a priority for TLPP, and both Gragas and the supports of Biceps are now able to threaten Painzer and prevent the, domination of that Ari with the extra mobility. So with a little bit less safety in his toolkit, let's see if TLPP is able to exploit that moving forwards.
Yeah, definitely. As we do see the Alistar ban come in, I think TLPP is just gonna put both of their bans towards this support. Try to ban out some of the supports that pair well with the Kai'Sa. We obviously do still have the Nautilus open. Maokai, not an optimal option anymore this patch in the support, or at least does still work with the Kai'Sa, but obviously something like the Blitzcrank we have seen popping up a lot as well, with how
Leona.
important it is to get your bot lane ahead. Yeah,
I
things
will
like
say,
Blitzcrank,
the
Leona.
flex of the Amumu is still there. Both of these players do play it for AHK, so if you focus a little bit too hard, I
Yeah.
would expect top laners to be banned. There it is, the Kled being knocked off. I would be surprised, because if you go really hard into the support pool pinch, it's really easy for you to just send Exploitative all the way down there with the Amumu and grab up another jungler. They might have already grabbed up their support pick without Tlpp being aware of it.
Yeah, potentially. Obviously, we could see the Amumu go either role. We could, honestly, he could go mid as well. Who knows? With Syndra top.
Yeah,
Syndra AD
LAP.
carry.
Ballistic Missile Mumu is probably not going to be hitting the rift this time, but there's always a chance, right? You never
Let me
know.
dream.
Maybe we see full AP Rock in the top lane with the Malphite coming out here. Just the
Oh
full
my God.
psycho press your buttons. However, Zaya pretty much is the queen of the no. Just press
No.
her R and just say nah. No Mumu ults, no Malphite ults, no dive tools coming out. So Victor once again grabbed up, partnering up with the lovers duo here. So I would like it. I like it into the Syndra. It's a bit handshaky of AP mids just shoving waves at each other, and the Shen that was mentioned is probably going to be picked up. I would agree with it. Able to build as much of a dive as possible here, so Amumu isn't all on his lonesome, with the Shen being locked in, stabilizing. Don't let Diamond have his leads early on this time. Play towards the team. I really like this from the side of AHK.
And definitely, and I think they will just pair up the Kai'Sa with an engaged support, like we mentioned earlier. I would like to see maybe things like the Nautilus with the point and click CC. Like you mentioned, Zaya can just get out the Feather Storm and just say, I don't like you anymore, and just deny all that damage. And Zaya as well, ooh, GP. He's
GP, the
baiting me
counter
with the
pick
hover.
into the Shen, able to cleanse out of the taunt, able to punch through the armor with the extra pin of the barrels, and has chances to carry games off of leads. Maybe
Sure,
translates
he's
a little bit
baiting
better
us.
into the team fight. I would like it here. Hovering the J4
Yeah.
instead, I would not be as much of a fan of, but we'll have to see. We'll give Rakan a dive buddy, give an opportunity, and he elects
Did
to
it.
grab it up, possibly sliding that Gragas up here in the top lane. That was something we didn't even consider, thinking that it was Diamond going to be playing a very melee heavy, in your face, fight him, duel it out, Fioras, gangplanks, trade in early on. So we have to see, more than likely going to be J4 jungle into Andy's hands, with Diamond grabbing the Gragas. A little bit of a curveball there at the end for TLPP.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something that we didn't see coming. And I think that's partly just due to Diamond Killer's champion pool, or at least what we've seen him play. Because we know he likes these aggressive top laners, he likes these fighters, he likes to tell his lane opponent to just duel it out, and whoever is just mechanically better just wins. Like last game, we saw him on the Fiora. In the regular season, we saw him on things like the Gnar, things like the Aatrox. So I think him pulling out the Gragas here is really a surprise. Obviously, it is probably something that TLPP thought of flexing, but I definitely think that, like you said, he also hovered the GP, and I do think I would have preferred the GP here over the Jarvan, but we're just gonna have to see what TLPP managed to pull out. But I think their draft is definitely looking strong.
But yep, you're able to kind of chip your way through the Shen, but Shen being A, a tank, and B, resourceless, it often feels like Gragas just runs out of mana before he is able to get anything meaningful done in the top side. So we're gonna have to see how that plays out. I was double checking here with production, doing a little bit of homework, realizing that I might have messed something up, but no, this is the very first Diamond Killer Gragas game. He doesn't have a single game of ranked played on it so far, so this is either improvisation, trying to throw as much of a wrinkle as possible, or could be feeling like he was backed into a corner here and throwing an absolute Hail Mary down at the other team. So you have to see how this one plays out. A lot of focus up here in the top lane with this Gragas pick, so running it elsewhere. where else are your eyes? Because with Gragas, not a lot's going to be happening. So poking and prodding, but where are your eyes going to be directed to? Bot lane, you have to imagine.
Yeah, definitely. I think all of our eyes should be on bot lane this game. With Tlpp managing to pull out the Zyra Khan, obviously a bot lane that wants to play very aggressive in the early game, wants to try find those leads ahead. And I think partly Jarvan can help achieve that, but with AHK's response of grabbing the Shen, grabbing the Amumu with the Kai'Sa, I think the amount of global map pressure they have is just ludicrous with the Shen ult. So I think TLPP are just gonna have to be very wary and very careful when engaging on the bot lane of AHK, or potentially even on the jungler of AHK. Because that's the power you get when you lock in the Shen. When you lock in the Shen, you get the ability to be anywhere on the map whenever you want. Obviously, you do lose out on things in the top lane if you get the wrong timing. But generally, I think it's just AHK working on their communication as a team, and if they do manage to pull it off, I don't see why it wouldn't work.
Yeah, and I would love for the opposition here of TLPP to prove me wrong and show me why Gragas is the perfect pick here. But I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna have to be sold. Even as a Gragas apologist, I definitely feel like I'm gonna have to be sold on it. I do find that Jarvan is now your big focus. Early on, he's gonna have to try and get something going, because hitting a lead in a Shen is gonna be hard up in the top lane. Syndra versus Victor is gonna be pretty much just shove waves at each other and back when you run out of mana. And the bot lane is going to be the spiciest part of it, but even so, there's a decent amount of survivability on both sides. Lantern on one, Battle Dance on the other. So you gotta imagine that J4 and Andy is gonna have to be on the ball getting this rolling here on the side of TLPP for them to try and grab one back here. Going down 0-1, it must be win on out if they want to progress in this tournament. So I will be, not even gonna lie, I will be cheering for them a little bit, because I would love a game 3. I would love to see a little bit more content here for the LELC. Kicking off playoffs with a back and forth match would be exciting, or can AHK slam the door firmly shut and continue their unbeaten run forwards? There's a decent amount of storylines on either side, you got to imagine, Desa.
I think I definitely agree, and I think if TLPP can manage to pull out the win here, it'd be huge for their team, because I think if we do get a game 3 here, which I really hope we do, because it'd make a great story, and it'd make a great ending, at least when the game 3 does end. But we will have to see. But I definitely think that TLPP are a team that can do it. We've definitely seen them in the regular season get some awesome wins over other teams, especially Diamond Killer. I have to give him a lot of credit. He did a lot of the team's work over the regular season, so we will have to see if they can carry it off into playoffs, as unfortunately didn't manage to pull his team through in game 1, but it was still a very good showing out of him. Now, as you said, I think this bot lane is gonna have to be mainly the focus here, and I think that this Jarvan has to be around this bot pretty much 24/7, because I think this Zaya getting ahead it's big.
Yeah, you're gonna have troubles cutting through a Shen as a Gragas. I mean, even Victor will take some time to work through it. The dodge zone, though, I will say, will be buying quite a bit of time from those auto attacks, so maybe it will actually fall to these AP laners to try and punch through as much of that Shen as possible. But I would tend to favor AHK's chances in this game.
I have a question for you, Sant.
Yes, sir.
Do you think this is tank or AP Gragas?
Ooh, I mean, in the top lane, it usually has to be a little bit more tanky and stand up to a little bit more independence than, say, in the mid or the jungle roles. You're just gonna have, the problem with Gragas is you have enormous mana issues. So I think, and I really think that the tier item on tanks, the Fimbulwinter, pretty terrible. right now. It's just not a hugely potent item. The numbers on it aren't great, so that tends to lean towards the AP, I have to imagine. Getting in that early Lost Chapter, getting the Seraphs, getting as much mana as possible, because on Gragas, mana is health. Being able to cycle out those spells and turn those spell casts into those big old drinks and getting that health farmed up will be crucial. So I will say probably AP, but you have to be a little bit tankier and a little bit tougher. So I'd say AP with a little bit of tankiness thrown in rather than the other way around, if I had to guess.
Spoken like a good true Mastery 7 Gragas here.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I. Another thing while we're on the subject of the least exciting lane in this whole game, the Gragas one. You beat Taunt. Shen Taunt in, Gragas Body Slam beats it, cancels it. So,
Really?
yes, you stuff the Taunt. So, because it's a disjointed hitbox, you stuff out the Taunt. So you're able to deny that from your backline.
You learn something new every day?
But when I was saying that Gragas trumps all, Belly trumps all, I'm not joking. Hook shot, taunt, J4 flag and drag loses to body slam. It's not that spell is nonsense actually. Who would win? Fully armored King of Demacia or one big boy? Like
One belly man.
one big old belly rumbling his way down. This just trumps everything, which is yeah. See, so Doran's Ring again, it's trying to solve that mana problem, but refocusing for a moment, junglers. Junglers are going to be kings of the early game, especially this J4, known for his early engages, that quick little flag and drag, level 2, level 3, trying to get something kicked off. Obviously, 6 is a Mumu. No slouch on the other side with those bandage tosses. Sometimes you don't even need to. Sometimes you just throw out the bandage toss. It makes you clear miserable, but you can get something going early on. As we see a little bit of rivalry and a little bit of camaraderie out of this Shen as we have the chat on the screen. Let's try not to get it. I will say we're going to try not to get too distracted by that as it pops up and trying to keep refocused here on this game. Starting instead, like the first game, they were on the same side. This game, opposite sides. Amumu clearing towards this Gragas Shen lane with the J4, in my opinion, clearing towards this bot lane. Preferably. I would definitely prefer Jarvan start here, trying to slide on down towards the more swing heavy lane, as opposed to a Shen that is going to get beat up on and then team fight later on.
Yeah, the only thing with the side of Tlpp is that this bot lane of AHK isn't easy to gank, because you can cancel the flag and drag with the Thresh Flail, and obviously you can then turn out your AD carry as well, as Tlpp's bot lane do hit level 2 first, but AHK's bot lane doing very well there, spotting that out and backing out at the right time. Now, like you said, I think I would definitely like to see Andy pass towards his bot lane, as he's gonna pass towards the mid lane.
Level 3, redirecting the flag and drag very nicely, but it's likely just going to be a trade of flashes, bandage toss, just to make sure nothing else happens here. And a very nice play, level 3, getting it going just like we were hoping for, but 2 summoners expended as Stereo flashing forwards in support of his mid laner. 2 for 1, and Tlpp getting a slight edge here in the mid lane.
Definitely, and I think Stereo was a little bit scared for the Syndra there. Obviously didn't end up needing it at the end of the day, but rather safe than sorry, you know, if they do keep going for it. That was a very good play from Andy's side. The very good flag and drag flash, as we have a flash from Sabu on the mid lane. So both mid laners with no flash, as Damumu does still stick around, and this bot lane is a lot more chill than we thought it would have been. But I definitely think that so far it's been a very explosive start to both teams, and I love that. I also love that it's good start on the mid lane. I also love that both teams are showing very good camaraderie, like you said. Obviously, Tlpp knows that they have to win this game, but regardless, it's very wholesome as Andy's back in the mid lane.
Once again, like, blood is to sharks, summoners down is to junglers, taunting back underneath his turret is the Shen, as the phase rush is procced, able to waddle on out of there and get his recall off. Once again, mana being the problem with the Gragas. We keep beating on it. You need mana on Gragas, so you gotta imagine there's the tier. Grab it up early on. But yeah, just wait until first recalls come out of this bot lane. I'd imagine it's pretty tough with only a longsword in your pocket to 100 to 0 somebody here in the bot lane. D-Blade not much better for that, so I would assume that we'd have to wait for a Noon Quiver or a pick or something along those lines before we see the real fireworks down here in the bot lane of either team looking for an engage. The only way that'll happen is the aforementioned junglers. However, neither one of them having a flash means that you see the mummy running at you, you just leave. You just flash out. You're just going to be able to step on out of there, say no thank you, and vice versa on the other side. So likely going to be more focus on the mid lane with those sums still down. There's going to be a little bit more playmaking opportunity.
Yeah, this bot lane is really hard to make plays on right now, and with the both of the flashes being down in the mid lane, I would imagine that the junglers do step on over there and try to see what they can find, as they have found success so far, as there is a little bit of trading in the top lane. Now look at where Andy is. You see Andy on the minimap doing his Krugs there. Now he might look for a top lane play here, as
He was
he's
shed
waddling
down
his
to
way
a
over.
Shen down to a third. It's definitely an angle. He does still have taunt up if I remember the cooldown correctly, and Flash is also there to follow it as there's the taunt. There's the flash. There it is in order as predicted. Very nicely done as the Shen is able to escape from danger, but well done on the Andes gank. Able to grab up another summoner spell, claiming a third to his name.
Okay, so now he goes bot next and gets 2 flashes there, and then he has free reign over the map to do what he pleases with.
And then, like Thanos, he collects all the flashes in his gauntlet and gets Hex Flash or something. I'm not sure what happens, but he's going to try and grab up as many of those as he can. With some bullying able to be done here in the top lane, traded in turn for this dragon. Amumu and selecting not to go as PvP and just pick up the guaranteed objective. The Chemdrake early on is going to feel pretty good for AHK's side.
Yeah, and I definitely think this Chemtech Drake is definitely different than what we saw last game. Last game we saw the Cloud Drake being the first dragon, which isn't too useful in the early game. It does give you that little bit of movement speed to be able to dodge certain skill shots better. That's a good flail in.
Yeah, the engage is coming out here. The power is unleashed into the back of the 80 carry as First Blood goes over to the Kaisa with a very nice mid-roam, hitting that level 6 and immediately right-clicking down bot lane, able to get themselves going. Lovely stuff from the mid laner of AHK. Take him off the Arhi and he will perform on the Syndra all the same.
Yeah, I think definitely Painzor is showing his variety of champions that he can play and the flexibility he has. That was obviously a very good flash from Exploitive there, flashing in and securing the flail just in case. And now look at Hansa. He has no summoners. We have Stereo on the bot side here. And now, with neither of them having 6 yet, not having the Feather Storm to, or the Feather Claw, sorry, not having availability to that spell yet, he is very vulnerable at the moment. Now we will see Stereo will just base here, not wanting to look anything in the bot lane quite yet. But still, that's a good taunt on top lane, and this top lane is gonna be 2 people smacking each other, especially with Diamond Killer Habitation.
Yeah, Death Sentence is going to be able to land, but Cataclysm is dropped all the same. Flashing away is this mid laner, EQing forwards. The Jarvan, she's likely to be dropped here, but the Shen Shield is able to buy her the HP. Great teamwork. It is cancelled from the Gragas, but Amumu is here to reinforce. Gragas able to deny the Shen joining, but not deny the shield coming out here in a 2-for-0 AHQ. Once again, getting the better end of the deal.
Yeah, that was definitely very well played from the side of AHK, as they are ahead by 3 kills. Do manage to pick up an 800 gold lead here, 8 minutes into the game. That's basically 100 gold a minute. But like we said, both of these junglers looking at this mid lane here. Again, mid laners having no flash. So very potent so far in the mid lane. We've seen a lot of action there. Now, we haven't seen a lot of action in this bot lane, where we thought we would see some. As you can see, Exploitive definitely posturing forward a little bit. They're trying to look for something, but as Hansoft just hit 6 here, does choose to opt out, not wanting to risk anything. And I definitely think that so far it's been a very explosive game.
Yeah, it ends up being in places that we didn't expect, though. These mid laners are really going for each other's throats, calling their junglers, calling their top laners, calling everybody in to try and get their advantage one way or another. It always is so funny to me. Phase rushing forwards just to bonk him over the head with a 70 damage auto attack, dodging it out this time. But every time we pan up here, we know that it's going to be E forwards, passive stack, passive stack. All right, handshake and walk it off. So I appreciate we check up there every once in a while, but we are certainly not going to be staying up there for too long. Electing to stay down here as much as possible with Jarvan floating around in the river and Mumu. As I say that, though, Mumu is up here in the top lane trying to interrupt the status quo, but with Flash on Gragas, it's not likely to be much more than a summoner spell. If that, he comes back up and he's able to just sail out of harm's way. Good try out of a Mumu, better answer out of the Gragas. In the middle lane, though, Cataclysm is dropped, putting the fish in the barrel, and trading it out very nicely is Painzor. The Ignite plus the ultimate, even once you are dead, those orbs still come sailing out. The power is unleashed, and able to get a 1-for-1 in the gank. Nicely done, Painzor. Once again, the ult is able to be dropped up here in the top lane, flashing out this time. Second bandage toss, the passive is stacked, with the cast knocking him the wrong way, unfortunately, of a decided Diamond Killer. And he will fall for his mistake as the Herald is summoned up here. Nice gank. Repeating, if at first you don't succeed, cry again is the motto of this Amumu. And once again, there's fighting all across the map. First the mid, then the top, then the bot. As all the ultimates are popped here, the box is able to knock down the Zayas. The Blade Caller is huge, rooting up two, trying to buy time for his lover, but the death sentence lands over the wall. An incredible hook from this Thresh as Rakan flashes out and is picked up by the Kaisa. J4 here, but he's in a 1v2. He's probably going to run out of damage here with this exhaust dropped, electing to back on out. And it is 2v3 dominance from AHK, really taking control of the wheel of this game.
What the hell is going on? We have another gank.
Once again, every time I try to throw it to you, there's more and more and more. We're mid to top and top to bot and bot to mid once more with the dragon. The combat does not stop. Finally, we take a moment, hit the objective, take a breath, everybody gather ourselves, and we are in for a treat for this game as another contest is going to be happening, walking brazenly into the face of this Thresh, stepping away from the death sentence. Amumu is able to pick up the dragon, but everyone's here for the party. A two-man pop-up here for the Rakan. Going golden is exploitative, but Jarvan is going to be falling. Trading him back is the Thresh. We have a jungler for support trade, but they're still looking for more. They're still ready to keep on going, keep this party going. They don't really have many more tools, unfortunately. No quickness, as the stun will land, and Rakan walking too far forwards without of his ult. Chaos Storm is able to get another, but the Shen ultimate is dropped and popped before Shen can join. Flashing away is this Victor. He's able to limp out on 1 HP, and auto for auto, and finally comes down. The last one drops, but flashing forwards is this mid laner. Everyone on blinking health bars. The top laners committing their ultimates too as the chase down follows for Painzor. And finally, dead to auto attacks. Painzor grabs it up. That was a marathon and a sprint all in one, and it's not done yet! It's mental! Shutdown going over to the J4. They're just swinging wildly. Everyone is blocking with their chin right now, swinging for the fences. Everything's landing, taunting him up underneath the turret as there's a solo bolo in the top lane soon to be, wimping his way out. Body slam forwards, throws the cast for the disengage. The minions are not going to be able to pick him up as they probably have cumulative 15 HP between them. And oh boy! This game is delivering on every possible level.
Oh my god, so what is there to say? It's been non-stop fighting for the past 2 minutes, even in the top lane where we said that there wouldn't be any fighting. We see both of them being on 1 HP. And I think definitely in that last dragon fight, Asuna, I think, being a little bit disjointed from the rest of his team, definitely looking for more there when his team wanted to back off. And I think that's mainly what led to his death as well. But like you said, everyone was 1 HP there. Everyone just kept fighting. And we might have even more as we have everyone in the mid lane as well, with Painter having no flash. And what is both teams came here to fight as we both these top laners are 1 HP. Diamond Killer not having ulti. I don't see him getting the kill here.
Yeah, it's not likely to be a solo. He does not quite have the damage, unfortunately. With electing, while all of this brouhaha was happening, we were not able to get a moment to collect up and take a look at those inventories with those mythics already grabbed up for the carry positions on both teams, along with Amumu's Jack Show. However, not able to grab anything up, stopping off for the tier and the D ring is this Gragas, so Death Sentence going wide, able to body slam his way out of here. But yeah, electing, as we had unfortunately not foretold, going for this tank build. I am very surprised to see, dashing forwards, going into the Killer Instinct. The quickness is able to charm him up. Shen ult buys enough time to get the disengage, taunting forward as this Shen, and the Rakan is not long for the world. See if the lover can get her revenge. There it is. Blade Caller is able to grab one up, but still swung by the Shen. J4 is probably not going to be able to blow up a tank Shen, so he's going to be able to dip on out of there. But yeah, this game, excitement, excitement, excitement. Are you not entertained? Comes to mind here as both of these gladiators duking it out.
Hey man, if you wanted entertainment, this is your first stop and shop for it. Jesus Christ. Both teams definitely want the win here, and I think so far we've seen it pan out for the side of AHK more than anything else. As we
Last
do have
auto is not
here
able
on
to
the
finish
top
it
side.
off. He's able to complete that teleport, flashing away. Death Sentence not going to be able to connect, but neither is the party cask. Pouring one out for the homies, and soon to be dropping as a result. Slamming away from the taunt, he's able to buy enough space for the reinforcements to arrive as Victor is here to clean up the mess left behind by the barrel. Underneath the turret, Amumu is able to root up too, but he drops for it and able to buy time. Reinforcements have arrived, and the cavalry is here to mop up 2 quick kills in the top lane. Tlpp firing back. Cataclysm is dropped here. Lantern is not able to be grabbed, stuck too far on the other side. There's so many bodies on this Lantern, but it just finally clicked. Chaos Storm is not able to connect. Throws up the mastery. Team differential, exploitative in the right place at the right time, able to yank his top laner to safety.
And with this dragon coming up as well, I would imagine that Tlpp will just start this one up and gather it for free. Now, as I say that, we do see Stereo coming to this bot side off of spawn, so we might see some contest here, but keep in mind, both junglers have smite. This could be a 50-50 as the hook does land.
Connects, is able to hit the flay, but the box is not going to be able to follow it up here. Gravity well trying to put as much denial as possible to Mumu, flashing into the back of the pit with the blast cone slain. The dragon is this J4. As the fight is kicked off, he will be dropping for his troubles. Bandage toss lands, connecting one more, soon to follow it up. They're able to lock down biceps as Rakan once again punished for trying to be frontline and not have the HP to back it up. 3 for 0, but are able to get the consolation prize of this dragon. 16-8, and honestly, gold a lot closer than you would expect, considering just how much blood has been flowing. The Tlpp is able to stay pretty close in this game, but is currently being outpaced by the might of AHK.
And we might see 2 towers fall in the mid lane here as the Herald does get put down. Now we'll see if Tlpp do choose to respond to this. They will. Might stop this tower from going down. It's 1 HP. It lives. That's gonna be huge because that denies so much gold to the side of AHK as well. As we do see this top lane tower getting lower and lower, but AHK are slowly getting gold leads here and there. And now that they're ahead by almost 5k, they're really putting ahead, and I think the main thing for them is to not stop now. I think they've wonderfully used the Shen. They've used him really well around the map. We saw him TP bot side earlier to save his AD carry, and I think that's exactly what they need to be doing. They need to use this guy's ultimate, and they need to use it well, as Huntsoft could be in trouble.
Yeah, going immune for this power unleash, training ult for ults, good reaction times out of Hunts. Able to deny the massive chunk of damage that would be flying through with the telegraph that it was. So no harm, no foul, able to dance on out of there with Rakan in tow.
Yeah, and I think just the two lovers really working well together there, you can definitely tell they've had the experience, as there will be some staring in the top river, but that's about it. And I think that's obviously what we refer to in the gaming community as the couple buff, which they obviously get being who they are. And that's just very well played from the high side of Huntsoft, and like we mentioned in Champ Select, it's very hard for AHK to kill this Zaya with Huntsoft having Gragas by his side, Diamond Killer being there for him, and him having the Featherstorm as well to keep him out of trouble. It's gonna be very hard for AHK to kill this Zaya, and I think killing this Zaya is what they need to do until this until this Victor gets a couple more items. It's exactly what they need to do if they want to win this game.
Yep, I would agree. J4 and Gragas, for now, are still able to be using those spells forwards, trying to get those picks, especially J4 lock up a backliner like a Syndra who doesn't have that mobility like the Kai'Sa does. But later on, you're going to definitely be trying to keep your carry safe and try and keep that front to back. Xayah will be outperforming Kai'Sa in that regard. Kai'Sa does have the assassination potential, but down here in the bot lane, finishing the point, Gravity Well is able to stun up, but Shen takes no damage at all. Doesn't even burst through the shield. Death Sentence is able to land here with two-man quickness. Able to charm up, but Jarfin is able to lock down two. Shen ult committed here. Blade Caller is able to lock one down. First one to fall is this Kai'Sa as the red team recollects themselves, but gets stunned up by a beautiful Scatter the Weak coming out of this Syndra. And now there might be a little bit too far forwards. Is this Victor body slam out? Health bars dangerously low, so even though Tlpp avoid dropping, it is still massive, massive pressure over and a team fight win to AHK purely based on those wounded health bars.
Yes, sir. A little bit of miscommunication there from the side of Tlpp. I think just their health bars being a little bit too low to take that fight, and Syndrome getting huge value there. Painzor playing that extremely well, as he does land the scatter and Victor dead. So this is the power of the late game Syndra we were talking about, with him getting those stacks up. He's just gonna press R on people and they're gonna be absolutely gone.
Yeah, you're gonna be able to immune that for the Xayah, but Victor is not gonna have an answer. Gonna have to probably grab up a stopwatch, I'm expecting, to try and deny the just straightforward point and click you die now button on the Syndra, but also to try and break that CC chain. The Amumu, two bandage tosses and an ultimate, plus the Shen, plus the Thresh, plus the scatters, plus the try and break that chain up, EQing forward on the tankiest member here. Shen is not going to be the one you're wanting to engage on, especially with his team waiting in the wings, but if he's in the middle of three, he's able to buy some time. Phase rush, haunting back forward, no fear is this Shen. No one can really hurt him until Xayah arrives, able to get another body slam forwards, EQing forwards. Now that Xayah has arrived, he will drop for his hubris. Taking the flay is this Thresh, knocking the quickness down out of the air. Is a beautiful disengage as Rakan will drop, sniped from the air. Two-man flay, power is unleashed on these backlines, but a triple kill over to this Kai'Sa as she goes wild in this team fight. 4 for 2 and AHK. Massive work done by both of these carries, the Syndra, but the finishing touch is put on by Jackie George on this Kai'Sa. Masterful stuff from AHK.
Tlpp in a little bit of trouble here as they are falling further behind. They are behind now by about 5k gold. And I think the big part there was just Andy and Huntsoft playing that really well together, keeping each other alive. Even with Stereo getting that flashing, getting that 3-man ultimate, it didn't help them enough because that's when Jackie just came in. And if you can't kill this Kai'Sa, he's got Kraken, he's got Navori, he's gonna be outputting a lot of damage. And I think that's another thing I would like to touch on with these AD carry builds, because I think Huntsoft going with the Gale Force might feel like he needs it to live from Jackie, needs it to live from the Syndra, but I would have liked to see potentially a Kraken Slayer. You are against a Shen, you are against an Amumu, two very tanky targets. But maybe he might prove me wrong, but that's just what I would have personally gone for, Mastery 7 Xayah, but you know. Anyway,
I would certainly agree with your weighing of that though. Even the Thresh is no slouch, picking up that glacial buckler there for a little bit more armor on top of that locket and the tabbies. So yes, absolutely. Shen, nightmare to cut through from an 80 carry perspective. Amumu, nightmare to cut through. Thresh on top of it is definitely be what sends it over for the edge for me, saying Kaisa not really having the same issue of frontliners to hit that this Xayah would. So let's see if this comes back to bite her, or the flip side of that is if she's able to slip away from an important ability, a big scatter, a big bandage, the top lane, I'm not even able to finish these points. More deaths, more kills as a freebie delivered over to the Kaisa thanks to a beautiful hook from Exploitative.
and yeah, definitely, I think exploitative playing that beautifully. They're very good hook, and it
Forwards,
does
not
go
gonna be able to
in.
land on anything in particular. Charming up the quickness. Xayah is able to free fire, but quickly shut down by this Thresh. Gailing away from it, able to big blade collar, wait for it, and it's not gonna fall. And Kaisa able to knock them down. Another 4 kills over to AHK, 3 of them going over to the Kaisa, with GG's already being typed. With Victor on his way back up, I'm not sure if it'll be so straightforward. I'm not sure if they're able to put the finishing touches on this so far, or if they're more than likely going to be able to make a stand. Probably going to have to pivot over to one of those other turrets and or the big old worm in the pit, as Shen electing to just, I'll do it myself. Grab up a kill on the Gragas while you're at it. Too far forward is Diamond Killer, as a little bit of desperation showing through from Tlpp. A beautiful death sentence lands as these spells are connecting. Two-man taunt for the Shen. Chaos Storm dropping on top of the Shen's head as a massive scatter is able to grab one more, with J4 once again falling, but in a bit of a pickle here. Instead, they call an ambulance, but not for me. Syndra deleting the health bar of Tlpp off the map, looking a little bit caught up, standing, flashing the mastery, flexing on him a little bit. That's the just a little bit of style, a little bit of sauce that we love to see here, as Painzor really turning that one around with a couple big scatters, and obviously the power unleashed really flexing on him here and getting this one not quite polished off, but it's likely gonna be a foregone conclusion with how AHK have been playing so far.
And I definitely think the big worm you're talking about will go down now, and Painzor is massive right now. Like, yeah, we talked about Hunts of being able to deny things with the Feather Claw, Blade Claw, sorry. But like, if your Featherstorm is down, you can't really do anything. The Syndra is gonna do your entire health bar with her ultimate, especially with the execute she has. And with this dragon coming up as well, and AHK will secure Infernal Soul for themselves, I don't know how you win this game if you're TLPP. How do you come back?
You saw in front of your very eyes 3/4 HP Xayah versus 1/4 HP Syndra. Still did not go Hunt's way, so you're gonna either need a more lopsided fight, or unfortunately, look like caught here. Taunt is not able to connect here, so able to slip on out. Another lease on life perhaps here, going up into that ultimate, and the Gale Force that we mentioned actually making the difference here in being able to slip on out of harm's way. So it ends up serving its purpose, however, it might not be exactly what you're looking for. You might be able to live, you might be able to fight another day, but what can you find with that new lease on life? Or is this going to be a steamroll? Smumu is able to pick up this dragon, and oh, there's just a massacre. It's not even a final fight, it's a final resting place as AHK stomp forwards. Amumu slowly and steadily beating on this dragon, waiting for the soul to be picked up. You gotta imagine any day now, Tank Amumu is gonna grab it up. There it is. Blue team has slain the dragon with the soul going over, with the base going over, and the series going over to AHK. Padding the stats a little bit, getting one more on the Rakan for good measure. Trading it over, Shen is going to be dropping, but it's not gonna matter in the end. The result is the same. Death sentences for the team and death sentences for the series. lights out 2-0. AHK able to finish it out and continue their unbeaten streak from play-ins into playoffs.
The unbeatables do it, and this means they're gonna be 13-0. Unbeatable cannot lose to anybody. And I think if you are AHK right now, I think that you are taking this game and you're just thanking your heavens, because I think there were points in the game where it looked really scary for AHK. I will admit, I was holding on to my breath for a couple of fights there as Tlpp, because I think they had a real shot at winning this one. Unfortunately, not managing to pull through today to get the W, but still, I think it was a beautiful showing from especially Diamond Killer, especially on that Fiora playing really well, but it just wasn't their day.
Yeah, but that being said, not their day. They should still leave with their heads held high, putting on a hell of a show for us here in this series. So props over to the opposition here, and props to Tlpp, able to put up a fight, but AHK turned out to be the better team on the day. So credit all around, but AHK able to close it out in style.
Definitely, and I think after that game, we do need a little bit of a break. I know you definitely do, after all those non-stop fights. And we will be having a word momentarily with the winner of tonight, Exploitative, as we will be heading to a short break. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Breakdown, we're alive, are we running circles, running around? Breakdown, chase the light, we're rolling but on the go. Running for
left me was the radio, and it goes like ooh, yeah, yeah. And it goes like ooh, yeah, yeah. When I press play, all I hear is you. And it goes like ooh, yeah, yeah. When I press play, all I hear is you. Oh, every single song tells me we're through. Yeah, but I can't turn it off 'cause it's the truth. Yeah, it's the truth. And it goes like.
Welcome back, guys. We just finished the series AHK versus Tlpp. AHK taking it 2-0, and now another special little surprise for you guys today. We have with us the one, the only, Exploitive from the AHK, the support, the Thresh, the man, the legend. Exploitive, how are you feeling?
Hello everyone, guys. Feeling good, feeling good. I'm happy that we won 2-0. Was good games. Props to our opponents. They were actually quite good. And not much to say, to be honest. Just feel good.
It was a beautiful showing from you guys, I think. Especially that game, I think you guys really took control of the game. And what was your game plan going into the game?
I think that both games, our game plan was pretty much the same. So basically just get our carries ahead. The second game we had a Syndra pick that was really good against their hard engage. She got sit very hard and she got a little mad, I think. Was flashing the mastery. But yeah, overall that was the game plan, and I mean it worked out great, so I'm happy.
So what was because there was one point in that last game, I don't know if you remember, but we just had constant fighting for like a minute across the entire map.
Okay.
What did you guys' comms look like at that point when they're just fighting in the top lane, in the bot lane, in the mid
it
lane?
really often sounds like monkey cages. No, but luckily in team fights we have our shot caller calling the focuses, and it's pretty much chill. I wouldn't say too chill when people are fighting, so it's like, oh, I'm gonna kill this guy, please wait so I can ult you. Stuff like that. Not too noisy, actually.
It's good to hear. So you guys felt like your comms were on point there. Did you guys feel like you were playing well together?
I think that's one of our main strengths. Like, we've been playing together for a long time now, and I honestly think that is the recipe of winning in games like that. Like, good communication is key, in my opinion.
I think I definitely agree, and I think especially when you pick things like the Shen, you definitely need good communication to pull things like that off with the global pressure you have. And you guys definitely look like you pulled it off. And you guys definitely look like that was your game to take and your series to take, and you took it by force.
Yeah.
But still, very good showing from you guys. And San,
Thank you.
go ahead.
We had fun. It was really fun series.
Let me just take you back a little bit. We can all appreciate just how fun the show that you guys put on back. But I will say, walking you back a little bit into that champ select, did you expect the let's say approach that was taken by your opposition, expecting to get Thresh back in your hands? Once those teams were locked, did you feel like you were set up for success, or did you feel like you got outdrafted, or what was the confidence levels and the comfort levels coming out of those drafts there?
Actually, I think the drafts on both games were pretty much equal. Like, we had really good engages on both games, and we had a little bit of disengage on the second one, and they just had a lot of disengage. So it was really like quite even, I'd say, draft-wise. At least that's my opinion. Maybe I would have picked some other stuff, top lane or jungle for them, but that's just my opinion.
Right.
But anyways, I never had the feeling that we were outdrafted or just straight up gonna win. when the draft has started.
So you didn't feel like it was decided in Champ Select. Obviously,
don't
it never
think so, no.
is. But you definitely felt like you were setting yourself up for success, especially with, we have to say while we have you, that Thresh. Are we expecting to see it in future, or do you reckon that you have garnered enough respect and or fear from your opposition that you're going to have that knocked out of your hands moving
I mean,
forwards?
I'm bad at stretch, guys. Just leave it open, please.
You heard it here first, folks. Exploitative is washed up. He is
Yeah,
absolutely nomad life, and you should leave it up for him every single time. Results may vary. I will say that. That's not legal advice. Sandbag and I cannot be taken. Tessa and I cannot be taken responsible for any minus LP leaving that champion open. So thank you very, very much for joining us.
you, guys.
Congratulations
Thank you,
on the win, and good luck moving forwards.
Thank you
That
very
will
much, guys.
just about wrap us up for this series. The BO3 has concluded 2-0 to Exploitative and his brothers in arms, with AHK able to grab that one up. Thank you very, very much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the rest of the playoffs. Dessa, you want to wrap us up here?
Yes, sir. Definitely. Thank you for Exploitative for joining us today for the finishing interview here. And like you
Pleasure.
said, Sand, that's gonna wrap it up for today. Obviously, today we had the BO3 between Tlpp and AHK. Just as a recap, AHK ended up taking both games. Second game pretty convincingly. First game was very close, and very close between both teams. You've heard it from Exploitive here. Thank you for him for joining us. Thank you to everyone else for joining us. And remember, guys, next series, don't go anywhere yet, because next series is gonna be on the 20th. It's gonna be BMR versus PCE. That's gonna be on the Monday next week, start of the week. Get yourselves a good start to the week by tuning in and seeing that absolute madness that's gonna come. So remember, guys, thank you for Sand for joining us as well. Thank you for Little Joe for producing and being with us today. And have a good one, guys. Stay hydrated, get well rested, and I'll catch you all on Monday.
Break down, we're alive, are we running circles, running